Okay, it's gonna land soon, hopefully. Okay, here we go.
Landing lights came on, so those cut through fog, so you should see some bright lights. Just so you know where he is.
It's coming soon.
There's a helicopter.
There's not that many good videos, so I'm gonna go for this guy. No, it's a botch. This is a new aircraft. I'm excited for it. Oh, we hear it. I hear it. Oh, it's coming in right now. Hopefully the web. Yeah, it's still not by. Oh! We see lights. I see the engines.
Welcome back, everybody, to our continuing live broadcast of 777X first flight.
All right, good.
The airplane took off at 10:09 this morning from Payne Field. It's been flying around the skies of Washington for the last 4 hours, and you can see it here on final approach at Boeing Field in Seattle.
Yep, let's just watch.
Oh,
that
here we go.
airplane
Here we go.
land. Very first landing of the 777X.
Butter, please. Nice. Reverse thrusters.
And
Let's
you
go.
can hear the crowds cheering for it. Beautiful landing.
Beautiful takeoff, beautiful landing.
Amazing.
So for the last 4 hours, the airplane, the pilots have been exercising the XXX's systems and controls as part of a detailed test plan.
Yeah, let's take a look at where the airplane's been flying today. We took out of Payne Field.
Oh, let me stop. They're looking. The wingtips are folding right now.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that. They're folding.
Look at those wingtips folding up.
That's great.
And Ted, that's automatic?
Yeah, on landing it's automatic. They get below 50 knots and the wingtips will fold.
Very cool. So as I mentioned before, this is the map of where the airplane flew today. We took off from Payne Field, went over to the east, did some testing up there, as Josh mentioned, about 4-hour flight. And
Amazing
then the aircraft
airplane.
has come and landed here at BFI. Just watching it roll down the runway.
Yeah, these are beautiful images. So we'll just tell you, as you watch this video, you have Josh Green, Emily Sanchez, Ted Grady, one of our Boeing test pilots here. Ted, looking at that map and seeing the flight path, how did they choose that?
Mostly it's determined by weather and airspace. We have some agreed upon routes with air traffic control, and we want to get away from a busy arrival pass into Seattle. So generally it's northern Washington going east-west, and that's generally what they did. Stayed out of the arrival pass, and then tried to stay at a convenient place for our chase airplane to be able to drop into Moses Lake, refuel, and then come and catch them without wasting a lot of time or fuel.
We saw a little circle around what looked like Mount Rainier. Is that like a bonus for you guys?
I think that's probably an essential part of every first flight. Get a hero shot in front of Rainier.
Can you tell us a little bit about what they've been doing in the air for the last 4 hours?
Yeah, sure. After initial takeoff, as we spoke yesterday, assessing the state of the airplane, doing some systems checks, having the chase airplane look them over, make sure everything's looking good, and then they just work through their test points in that first flight test plan, and then they hit the point where it's time to come back based on fuel and time in the air, and they really accomplished everything they needed to for this flight.
Can you tell us a little bit about what they've been doing in the air for the last 4 hours?
Yeah, sure. After initial takeoff, as we spoke yesterday, assessing the state of the airplane, doing some systems checks, having the chase airplane look them over, make sure everything's looking good, and then they just work through their test points in that first flight test plan, and then they hit a point where it was time to come back based on fuel and time in the air, and they really accomplished everything they needed to for this flight.
And Ted, can you share some of what you were doing after takeoff today and monitoring what the airplane was?
I was in the telemetry room just listening as all the smart folks in there were monitoring the airplane and tracking the flight. It was good to hear we have radio communication with the pilots, and listening to Van and Craig. They're very pleased.
These jet
with
engines
the way
are
the airplane
going to be
behaved.
considered the longest in
behaved as
GE
expected.
Nexus.
It kind of validated the initial validation of some of those pre-flight simulator sessions where we practice this profile.
Ted, both Emily and I have seen this airplane a lot in our jobs here at Boeing, and seeing it take off this morning, we both had chills. What was that moment like for you?
It's exciting. It's been a long time coming, and we're all excited to see it get in the air. And it's really, like I said, the start of the flight test program. So it's the kickoff. We're ready to get going and start testing.
Very cool. So for people who might not know on the webcast, the aircraft is taxiing now down Boeing Field. Can you give us a little taste of where it's going and how it's getting there?
Yeah, sure. So it landed on runway 14 right, and it cleared it. I didn't catch it. It cleared it at the last taxiway before that. Now it's just coming up the parallel taxiway Bravo, and it's going to come to the north end of the taxiway there and then turn into Boeing Field, and then they'll get tugged into parking.
So there were some comments online. People were asking about kind of the differences between yesterday and today, why we were able to take off today versus yesterday. I know you touched on that a little bit with us on the air, but just for folks on the webcast who maybe didn't catch that, can you explain a little more about the winds and the ceiling? And
Sure. Yeah, what a difference a day makes, right?
Yeah.
The weather today was consistently, the winds were below 10 knots, like 5 to 8, and kind of swirling around out of the west. So we certainly were within our weather parameters, and it made it for a nice takeoff, and had the ceiling of visibility for Chase to be right there for the airborne pickup, which is great. That's what we want.
So where do you guys go from here? What's the next phase of testing after today?
It will continue initial airworthiness testing, clear the envelope, and that will eventually allow the full test crew to be on the airplane, all the engineers in the back, and then we'll work into our Boeing development testing, do all the systems testing, performance, and through the whole program, and then we'll bring the FAA on, and that will be certification testing when they're on board.
So we had talked a little bit yesterday, as you just mentioned, about having the engineers in the back of the airplane. Today it's just the pilots, right, for this first flight?
That's right. The first few flights are just the 2 pilots. And that's by design. We always want to be as safe as possible. Not that it's more or less safe with more people on. You just don't want to expose more people than you need to.
Makes sense.
Van Cheney, our chief 777X pilot, in the left seat in the flight deck today, and Craig Bombin.
Shout out to these pilots who did an amazing job flying this new plane.
Yeah, Van did the takeoff. I didn't see who did the landing. I expect he did. And then they both traded off and had some time flying the airplane to assess airborne.
They must have been having some fun out there.
Yeah, I'm sure. If you summed up today, I'm sure they had a great time. And a sense of relief to just get started with the next phase of the program. It's great. Now we can all get to work on that.
Wow, I just love watching that airplane taxi down the runway with the wingtips folded up.
Yeah, it's
a shot of the pilots.
It is a good looking airplane. A little longer than the 777-300ER. Engines are a little bigger around.
It's getting closer to us. We are on the north side of the field. It's coming to the hangar here. So we're waiting to see this bird any second.
Yeah, I think the plan is for them to stop just short of turning in here, and they'll shut down there and get towed in. You can see the crew with the tug at the very north end of the taxiway.
Up, and there she is.
So we've had a lot of folks join us online. We said, we have the helicopter over. It might be hard to hear us right now. The total yesterday, throughout the day, on the webcast, there were more than 450,000 people tune in to see the 777X. So it really shows how many folks are engaged with what Boeing is doing right now with this airplane. And one of the questions we had, Emily, was about the range of the 777X. What is the range?
Right. So I had spoken yesterday about the range capability of the 777-8.
9.
Both aircraft, in particular the 777-8 and the full range capability significantly farther than today's 300ER. So both aircraft have different range capability because they're different sizes. They carry a different number of passengers and payload. So the range capability of the 777-9, the aircraft that we saw for the first time take off and land today, is around 7,300 nautical miles. And then it's the 777-8, the other member of the 777X family, is going to be able to go over 8,700 nautical miles. So incredible range capability, as I mentioned before, just building off of that ever successful 777-300ER with even more capability in this 777X family.
Thank you, Emily.
So, Ted, I just want to say thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for giving us all of your pilot insights as we've gone on this adventure between yesterday and today, finally getting to see this airplane take off, and we really appreciate everything you've been able to provide and the color from the pilot perspective. So thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Ted. All right. right, now it's our pleasure to introduce Boeing Commercial Airplanes President and CEO Stan Dill. Stan, what a special day.
Oh, this is spectacular. The emotions are high. And most of all, I'm proud of all the employees that put their heart and soul into this to make it happen. And then 2 pilots who took this airplane up and put it through the paces.
You know, Stan, I know you're not new to Boeing by any means, but this might be the first time that folks are hearing from you as leader of the commercial airplanes division. What do you want them to know about Boeing?
Well, first and foremost, I want them to know we have your back. You are the inspiration. You're the heart of the Boeing company. And we're doing everything we can to make sure that we regain the confidence of Boeing. And an act like today, where we fly an airplane and put it through its paces, is a demonstration to the world that we know what we're doing. We know how to do aircraft design safely and instill trust in the public.
Stan, can you touch on that a little bit more? How do our global teams come together and produce such an incredible aircraft and maintain that focus on safety and quality every day?
Oh, absolutely. It takes an effort across the company. We have teams up in Everett, Renton, down in Southern California, Philadelphia, St. Louis, an integrated supply chain that goes across the world. And they're all involved in bringing this airplane together with the utmost excellence in design discipline and manufacturing, built right up in Everett, Washington, with a brand new composites wing center that we committed in 2014 to put here, along with the assembly. And again, just can't be more proud of that supply chain and the Boeing people that allowed this airplane to come together to fly today.
Stan, I know you speak with Boeing customers a lot. What do they expect out of the 777X?
Well, this is something that's going to provide world-class performance. Fuel burn like no other product. This is going to be 10% better than the current competition, 20% better than the airplane it's replacing. And, my belief on behalf of the Boeing company is this becomes the backbone of that long-haul marquee operation. It used to be the 4-engine jumbo was that backbone. The 777X with its, long-range capability and increased capacity is going to really change the world one more time.
Stan, I know you want to get back there and join the celebration. Thank you so much for joining us today. Stan Dill, President and CEO of Boeing Commercial Airplanes. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, and go Boeing.
Thank you.
Thanks, Stan.
All right. We're gonna take a little break. We're gonna come back in a few minutes as it looks like the teams here prepare to tow the airplane here to the hangar.
Sounds good.
This is a very nice aircraft, I gotta admit. Boeing really did a good job on this aircraft.
This one here. All right, great. Sounds good.
All right, so our next guest joining us is Blake Emery. Blake, welcome.
Thank you
Can
very
you share a little bit about what you do for Boeing?
Yeah, my title is I'm the Director of Differentiation Strategy. And what that means is I do everything we can to make sure that our airplanes are the airplanes that are preferred by the flying public, the pilots, the flight attendants, whatever we can do to have our airplanes be different in a way that creates preference.
So along those same lines, can you tell us a little bit about Boeing's interior philosophy, how that relates to the passenger experience at a holistic level?
Absolutely, and I'm glad you used that word holistic, because that's really the approach that we take, is we recognize that everything within the passenger cabin is part of a system. So how those things interact from an aesthetic standpoint, for example, how the lighting interacts with the lines of the architecture, that's really important. And on this airplane, the 777X, it's especially amazing. I really believe that passengers, the flying public, is going to experience probably the best flying experience in commercial aviation. And there's a very specific reason for that. When we sat down to put together the cabin on this airplane, we really took what was best of the 777 as well as what was best on the 787. And a very interesting thing happened. So we worked with, we had regular ongoing meetings with our airline customers. And we put together an airplane that was based on our philosophy, and we put together the cabin, and we brought them in for feedback after we put together what we thought was really, really great. And they said, it's really nice, except when you guys did the 787, you really raised the bar. You really changed the flying experience for the passengers. So, the 787 has been in revenue service for a while now. This is your next airplane. Do it again. You really broke the mold. Do it again. So we kind of went back to the drawing board and even created a lot of other amazing things. So, like, if you look at the images that are on the screen right now, one of the things you might notice is the bins. Unlike other airplanes, the bins are concave instead of convex. This has a very, very interesting. It's a very interesting phenomenon for the passenger experience, because this creates both additional space as well as increased sense of spaciousness for the passenger. There is no airplane that is going to have this sense of spaciousness to the degree that the 777X has. It's just amazing. And additionally, another thing that we did is that we what we called sculpted the frames. In other words, even though the exterior of this airplane is the same as a regular 777, in the 777X, we sculpted the frames of the interior, creating additional space and additional inches, because so many of our customers are flying in economy class with 10 abreast. And so we really wanted to make sure the airlines could have a really nice 10 abreast experience.
So an even more comfortable 10 abreast for passengers flying in the 777X.
Absolutely. Yep.
Very cool. Can you talk a little bit about, you mentioned that we pulled a lot of design aspects from the 787. Some of that includes inside the cabin, pressure, altitude, humidity, things like that. How do those impact passengers?
Exactly. There's a lot of things that are different about our passenger cabins, beginning with the 787. And there's things that you can't see. The way we filter the air, the way we pressurize the cabin to literally allow more oxygen to get into your system. And one of the things that we discovered about this is that people absolutely feel better after flying the 787, and with the 777X, it's going to have the same. So anything associated with your mucous membranes, like dry eyes or runny nose, or some of the symptoms that sometimes you can get in a long flight, you really don't get that on the 787, and you won't get it on this airplane here, because we've duplicated that. And we build our cabins based on a very specific philosophy. We call it the ABCs. A means airplanes for people. B means by design, and C means connected to the sky, always connected to the sky. So we design it around the needs and wants of people, which we very extensively research. The B stands for by design. Now, what that means is there is no cool idea in this airplane or any of our airplanes, really, that just makes it on board because somebody thought it was a cool idea. It gets thoroughly tested, empirically tested by experiments. We literally do controlled experiments where we'll change the way a light works or change the position of a window or something and make sure that, in fact, that change is creating a statistically significant difference for the passenger experience. So,
wow. You mentioned the windows briefly.
Mm-hmm.
So I just want to touch on, those are bigger. They're also placed a little bit higher, similar to the 8.7, right?
Exactly. The windows are significantly larger than the existing 777, as well as being higher in the fuselage. And what this does, it allows, no matter, wow, that's so cool. No matter where you're seated as a passenger, you still have access to the window. You can still look out the window, which is a really important psychological impact. In many airplanes today, the only person that gets the benefit of the window is the person that sits at the window seat.
Very cool. I think we're just going to watch the airplane come in right now. Absolutely incredible view we have here.
Straight on.
Yeah.
There go the air stairs. Well, Avery, thank you so much for joining us.
You're very welcome.
We're going to get a chance.
My pleasure.
Yeah, thank you so much. What an exciting day. We're going to get a chance to hear from the pilots here in a little bit. So Emily and I are going to make our way to the airplane to see what it was like flying the 777X for the first time.
Absolutely. I'm so excited. You know, Josh, just one more point to make. We've said throughout the whole program that this airplane will fly when it's ready, and today was such a perfect day for that, and clearly she's ready. So it'll be exciting to hear from the pilots.
Yeah, definitely. Take off at 10:09 a.m., landing at 2 p.m. this afternoon. We'll see you guys next time. And there they are. Captain Dan Cheney, 777X Chief Test Pilot. You see him on the left, Craig Bauman, Chief Pilot of the Boeing Company.
Making their exit from the airplane after the first flight. And now they'll be greeted by some of Boeing's executives. CEO of Boeing Commercial Airplanes, Stan Deal. Greg Hyslop, the Chief Engineer of the Boeing Company and Senior Vice President of Boeing Engineering Test and Technology. And Josh Binder, the Vice President and General Manager of the Boeing 777X program.
Let's just watch this moment, enjoy it. Such a proud moment for the employees of Boeing. Pilots are going to come down the stairs and greet their family. Always a special moment to watch. This always gives me chill.
The rain picking up here a little bit at Boeing Field, but nothing's going to stop the excitement today.
True Seattle fashion.
Absolutely. What a special moment. Congratulations, Van.
Thank you. Such a fun day.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Van and Craig, we just wanted to get your thoughts.
Thank you.
Seeing it on the ground today gave us chills. Tears in our eyes.
Oh my God.
What was it like being on the airplane?
I'd still be flying if they'd let me. It was so much fun. I kid you not. We flew around Mount Rainier. The airplane was solid. The airframe was great. It was so much fun. Yeah.
Yeah, airplane was amazing, and it outperformed any expectations we ever had. So, just an amazing airplane. Flies beautiful. We were excited. Like Van said, we didn't want to come back. They made us because we were running low, So, but just a great airplane, and really excited to get this program going and get this airplane out in service.
That's awesome. Yeah, we suspected you guys were having a little fun out there.
Yeah, we were.
Yeah.
So, what's next for the 777X?
Well, we'll go do more of this. We'll start Tuesday. We'll do some inspections today, and then Tuesday we'll start flying again, and we'll just keep flying from here on out for the next 9 or 10 months. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, that's pretty much what we're up to.
It's awesome. Yeah, make use of every moment you have on this.
Yeah.
We know you guys want to celebrate, but we're going to nerd out. We want to selfie with you guys in the airplane.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
as we say goodbye, we're going to say goodbye to everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today from all of us here at the Boeing Company.
Yes.
Have a great day.
Thank you for going on this adventure with us. See you guys later.
Alright, boys, it is landed, so. And hope you join the stream. Survival stream may come soon, but. Anyways, that's a very nice airplane. I like that Boeing did a good job on the 777X. Good job, Boeing.